ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, The Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. Welcome to our weekly Thursday edition of the Breakfast Bankroll, live from the Mecca, New York City. Good friend and colleague, Mr. Mathew George. A little kind of sort of abbreviated show here today. Not a lot going on, but a lot going on. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. Headliner today, will Giants be throwing darts or another year of blue for the G-Man? So without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Mathew George. What's up, Matthew?
Good morning, Jeff. What's going on? How are you?
As we get closer to Labor Day, we get closer to week 1 of the NFL, a lot of stuff going on. Preseason football this weekend. Teams flying in, like the Eagles are in town the last couple of days to practice with the Patriots, and then they'll go ahead and line them up for a meaningless game where you hope no one gets hurt. Give us a temperature. What's going on in the G-Man territory?
Well, it seems like everything is falling into place. A lot of, expectations are set in place for the Giants, especially at this point. With they had the biggest expectation with Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo. They're obviously the big duo. Back in the mix where they both were injured for the majority of the season last year due to season-ending injuries. So then the same thing with Malik Neighbor. So basically, your top 3 guys are just been not been able to stay healthy last year, and then basically flop the entire year. So we're seeing, hopefully, we're seeing a good Giants team in terms of them making the playoffs, because I think that in that aspect, in terms of that New York side. And I talk about the Jets. We're not going to talk about the Jets at all, but I think the expectations are there for the Giants to have a legit chance to make the playoffs. It's just a matter of if all 3 guys, especially those 3, can stay healthy. And it seemed like it. And, if they trended in the right direction, the wear and tear doesn't fall on them, it could be a good season for them.
Tyrone Tracy misses a block. Jackson Dart gets lit up, goes to the medical tent, where he spends a lot of time, by the way, in that blue tent throughout the year. In comes Najee Harris, one day a workout. They sign him. Is it more of, listen, Scatterbo, I love what I saw last year. I loved what he did at Arizona State. Listen, he's a fruitcake. He's been hanging out with Puka too long. There's some videos out there of him pushing off that knee, ankle, Achilles, whatever ACL doesn't look that good. I was kind of high on Tyrone Tracy as a backup in obviously the fantasy leagues here. Give us the temperature. What's going on in that backfield with the addition now of Najee Harris?
I think they'll bring a dynamic, perspective of how the Giants want to handle everything, especially if they want to bring that 1-2 punch of Cam Scatterbo and Najee Harris. I think that kind of way. I don't think Tyrone Tracy is much of a big man in terms of the blocking aspects. He is a little. Let's see, how much is he? 232. Not. He had them listed as 6'1", 232 for Najee Harris compared to Tyrone Tracy at 5'11 and 210. So you guys, so at this point, even I think even Cam Scatterwood's basically the same, is also is listed the same height and weight as Tyrone Tracy. So you want somebody bigger, somebody who can actually have a have a legit chance, especially if they're going single four, if they're going double out, going I formation, or if they're going for a type of two man running back, two man running back situation where you're going split. You have a guy who's blocking and a guy who can really give an opening to Cam Scatterwood so he can run through. So he's your power back. Cam Scatterwood's your power back. So you need somebody to back him up. And I think Najee Harris in that aspect can be that 1-2 punch alongside with this offense of the Giants.
So, in your assessment early, we still got a couple weeks to go. Harris will be in front of Tracy. That's your
I
thoughts?
think he will be, yes, because the I think the experience from Najee Harris, even being a back, I would say a backup to almost to the backup to, in the back with the Chargers, and I think even then still after having an unfortunate season with having a season in the injury last year, I think he has the experience and the pedigree to uplift this second this as a second option for this Giants offense. It's a really big it's like the same thing with the Giants offense almost in general. It's a big question mark at the end of the day, but I think that's at the end of the day it'll still be very good as where the way everything handles itself out.
What's going on in the NBA?
So there's a big trade that happened. I think in terms of the both sides in terms of this, but there's like a big it's like a big like 5-team trade that involves Cleveland, the Denver Nuggets, the Clippers, and and the King and involving the Kings as well. So Peyton Watson gets sent to the Cavaliers. Everybody bear with me. Max Strus goes to LA, and then there will be unprotected first round picks from the Cavs and the Kings second rounders and the Nuggets second rounders that go to Cleveland as well. So a lot of moving parts, but basically the biggest part is that Peyton Watson is now going to Cleveland and is going to be signing an extension with them. Peyton Watson has a very good three. I would say basically one of the better 3-and-D guards that no one really talks about in the league, and not to mention he already has a championship behind his belt already with Denver. So he now brings that that I think he has a big big wingspan, and for his height as well, being at the guard position, he's done very well as a backup guard to Jamal Murray slash uh the kid from Kansas. Why am I blanking his name? And I think that the way that he can bring another motor to this team. He could probably even be in the starting lineup with Donovan Mitchell alongside it. But again, there's obviously the whole thing with James Harden. Is he going to be with this team at this point? I don't know, but I think that he can definitely bring another spark, and it probably even be the sixth man to this team. In the Cavaliers, the Max Strus situation, it's obviously because he's been having so many injury, has been having an injury history the past 2 years, so they had to get rid of him. Even though he was, very good pretty good at times when he comes back and then when he's healthy, it didn't seem like everything was starting to click. So I think getting a guy like Peyton Watson will be an uplift for the Cavs of this upcoming season. Obviously, with the stack craziness in terms of the Eastern Conference, where you have to battle against, uh, these top guards in the league with the Tyrese Maxey in the 76ers. You have Tyrese Halliburton in the Pacers. You have Jalen Brunson. So you need a guy that could come off the bench because that James Harden's not going to play defense. So you need somebody that can have that defensive pedigree, and Peyton Watson can definitely bring that kind of aspect to the Cavs.
Yesterday, I was on with good friend and colleague, Mr. Scott Wetzel. on FanStream, our weekly appearance there with the breaking news. Right after I got off, AZ Fudd now out for the year with knee issues. Listen, a lot of people questioned that pick. That was the long game. That, in my eyes, still the right pick. I think we'll have the better career than an Olivia Miles or whatever. But thoughts on AZ Fudd and basically the drama going on in the WNBA. And you talked about it a long, long time ago. The Golden State, the Valkyries, again, I guess here to stay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go with the Golden State Falcons. You guys just mentioned it. I mean, what a turnaround! Just like after losing, like as we mentioned before, after losing Kayla Thornton last year, they thought they were just flop, but no, they still made the playoffs and were still very good, even losing. Despite losing in the first round, so this team has just been trending in the right direction, and now look where they are. They're second place in the freaking cup in the freaking league. Like, I didn't expect this much of a big jump in terms of how Golden State was handling themselves, but the team as a whole has just been playing very well. They've been passing the ball well. They shoot the lights out whenever they want to, and their star players are like just like as we mentioned, Kayla Thornton and Veronica Burton. They're stepping up, and even the players off the bench are really stepping up as well. So everything seems to be in the mix for Golden State to really, I mean, probably even make the WNBA finals at this point because that's how good that this team has been in only the second year as a franchise. So we'll see how everything goes, especially with the playoffs in terms of that aspect. Dallas Wings. It does really suck that the AG Flood is going to be out for the rest of the year. It's seeming like they just really just going to keep her from any further damage or any further complications in terms of having re-aggravating that injury or just keeping her playing for the rest of the season. It doesn't seem to be worth it, although they're really in the ties of in the mix of of sitting in eighth place right now in the league. And it's a fact of, okay, are they going to just push for the playoffs, or are they just going to just sit out the rest of the just going to sit out for the rest of the year? I think we're still going to probably push for the playoffs because there's a big gap between the eighth and ninth place, if I'm not mistaken. But it's seeming everything's been just falling off of a cliff in terms of how Dallas has been handling themselves, because that AZ Fraud, from a player perspective, can just bring it no matter what. She shoots the lights out for the ball. She's a dynamic duo with her and Paige Becker. So everything's just been seeming. I think it'll trend in the right direction. I think the way that Dallas needs to handle themselves need to find a better front court in terms of how they can handle that, because that the front court is there with Arika Wumawale, AZ Fudd, um and Paige Becker. So you have your top three scorers that can just shoot the lights up whenever they want to. But now you need the front court help, and I don't think they had that kind of front court help this season. They have the 6'11" monster from China, but I would think that she still lacks the transition, because I think they can do. Dallas does really very well in transition, but they need to find some better front court help. So if they want to continue that, there's also one more other thing in Nika Nwumike, who is retiring at the end of the season, who's been absolutely stellar throughout her career, not to mention 11-time All-Star and also an WNBA champion. So she and her sister I mean, I wonder if she'll join her sister back in ESPN, because you've been seeing her sister every WNBA broadcast. So hopefully I mean, we might never know who could see her being in that aspect, or probably being a part of the WN the WMBPA, if I'm going to try to get that acronym correctly, because everything's been a lot of drama. There's been a lot of backlash with the Fever and Sophie Cunningham, and trying to defend Caitlin Clark, and also just to defending the rights of women and all that kind of stuff. But I think at the end of the day, you know we know she has a big mouth, and I'm not saying that to bash her, but I think that the way that the league is handling itself, it doesn't seem to be in the right direction. But I think that let the game speak for itself. Talking from a guy perspective, it's kind of hard because you can you let the drama come to you, and then to really just fall out of the water. But I think that once you let the game come for yourself, because that's what Caitlin Clark's doing. She's not going to really talk about anything else aside from her game when it talks to the media or anything like that, or publicly speaking as well. She's gonna let her game do the talking. She obviously gets the text because she doesn't agree with some of the calls, but that's just her game. That's just what she wants to represent herself as, not you know the all the crazy drama on the other side outside the WNBA and all the craziness. So she wants to handle that way, and that's what she should be doing. I mean, there's no other way of handling that too.
That was Scott asked me the same question about the drama, and I said I'm just calling it. I'm hoping a one-off. Too much drama, too much politics, too much left
Mhm.
side, right side. Former Division III college basketball women's coach way back in the day. UConn, two daughters went to UConn. Big fan, obviously, of women's basketball, and just disappointed in the direction the WNBA has gone this year. But again, I'm just gonna call it a one-off, and hope that it leans to the right direction for next year. But
Mhm.
Scroll's been going the whole time, Matthew. Everyone knows on X to follow you at MG28_sports. But as we always wrap up this segment of the show, where can they find your podcast with James Young and all your other great work?
Yeah, as Jeff mentioned, I do a podcast with Coach James Young. He does two different podcasts for both men's and women's basketball. We are doing the show is called the Coach's Edge with JY for the men's side, and Her Court with JY on the women's side. So we're having a bunch of guests throughout the entire week. We talk about head coaches, especially with head coaches in college basketball, and then obviously with the WNBA season still in the trends as well. So everything's been you know absolutely all over the place, which is not a bad thing, of course. If anyone to check my workout as well, go follow me, as Jeff mentioned, on X at MG28_sports. If we're going to recap everything that I've done with Jeff today, or anything throughout the week in terms of her court or the coaches that's with JY. So be sure to check that out as well. Also, I'll promote politically. I'll just promote the Clay and Buck show, as I've been handling this show as well. So be sure to tune on. They're live actually in about a couple hours or so. So be tuning in 12 to 3 Eastern Standard Time as well to be handled at that. It's gonna be a lot of stuff even happening with the summer going on. So stay warm, everyone. It's gonna be obviously we're towards the end of the summer, but stay cool, stay warm, and stay hot and ready for the end of the season, especially with the WNBA and the MLB season coming to a close very soon.
Yeah, we'll be back soon. Tomorrow, 10:30 Eastern, I'll be a guest on Wager Talk TV with Andrew McGinnis at McGinnis Picks. 12 o'clock, Scotty Webb live with the Friday Night Lights MLB card there as we wrap up another week here at the ECSI studio. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Mr. Mathew George at MG28_sports. Wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy yourselves. Stay hydrated. And most importantly, stay tuned.